and welcome to the BBB Business Shield Security Series. I'm your host, Erika Genty, Microlearning Innovation Manager for NMSU Global and a board member for the Better Business Bureau of New Mexico and Southwest Colorado, and a proud member of the BBB Security Committee. Serving alongside me are Dr. Mindy Brown, Director of Education at IntelliTec College in Albuquerque, and Rick Myers, founder of Caldera Cybersecurity. Our mission with this series is clear: to empower small businesses, nonprofits with the knowledge, tools, and confidence they need to safeguard against today's most pressing security threats. We kicked off our series last week with the Horror Stories podcast, a powerful conversation featuring real-world cybersecurity incidents shared by professionals who've experienced them firsthand. Today's episode, Talking Shop with AI, is part of our ongoing security series. In this conversation, we'll explore the expanding role of artificial intelligence in business, what it means for your organization, and how to harness its power safely, strategically, and responsibly. I'm joined today by two incredible experts who will share their insights, experiences, and practical tips for navigating this new AI-powered landscape. Mireya Herrera brings over 14 years of experience across technology operations and product development. As co-founder of Outcome Engine, a certified woman-owned software and digital marketing firm, she helps organizations grow through custom software, mobile apps, websites, and strategic consulting. Her career includes serving as CTO for a startup and leading the launch of a SaaS platform for nonprofits, roles that shaped her focus on building technology that works for people, not around them. Earlier in her career, she supported statewide digital modernization efforts for New Mexico, contributing to projects that improved access to public services, including the transition to a web-based system that allows dealerships to issue and print temporary vehicle registration tags directly. At Outcome Engine, Mireya leads strategy, product delivery, and organizational growth, helping businesses, nonprofits, and public agencies use technology to drive real progress. Today, she'll unpack a little bit about what AI is, what it isn't, and why it matters. Curt Doty is an award-winning brander and marketer. He launched RealmIQ, an AI consultancy, and podcast RealmIQ sessions on YouTube and Spotify, where he talks with AI founders from around the world. He advises companies and agencies on AI adoption and AI integration. He'll be speaking with us about creative-centered AI, elevating innovation in business. So let's get started. Mireya, will you start by telling us what AI really means for businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I start talking about what it means for a business, I'd like to remind all of the listeners that, AI is something that has been around for a really long time. So a lot of business owners think it's very new, and which leads to fear. And it's not. Like if you have Netflix and you've seen it if you've seen Benji movie recommendations, if you have seen chatbots on the website, if you have seen fraud alerts on your credit card, that is all AI. But what actually changed was the implementation and, well, the release of ChatGPT. So it allowed business owners like you and I to be able to use AI behind our computer. And that's what really makes it great. So a lot of, as a business owner, it's no longer, we're starting to work 10 times faster. We are seeing AI as far as being able to just support us on a quick response or help us think better. But most important, when what I love about how it's changing businesses is that it's allowing that curiosity to it's allowing more curiosity. So now, before we started hearing AI, people just, they're in the middle of their process. They had their own automation and it was very simple and they were happy with the way that it worked. But with the implementation of AI, now I hear from so many business owners, they say, hey, how could I be doing this more? How can I make this more simple? How do I work a little smarter with AI? How can AI help me work a little faster? And if they think it's all AI, and really it's more about some things are just improving your process. It's just adding very small automation. And but I love it because now it's helping us think a little bit outside of our box because it's becoming something that we hear from our teenagers or just any people in other workplaces, right? And so we don't want to stay behind, and that is one of the reasons that businesses have changed. So,
Awesome. Well, there's so much hype around AI right now. So, from your perspective, what are some of the biggest misconceptions you see in the business world?
the one of the biggest misconception and something that I constantly talk about is AI can replace you. AI cannot replace you. It is should be seen as a partner, and the word I like to use is a conversational partner. So AI cannot think for you. What it can do, it's taught to be able to give you responses based on what you request. So it might be skewed. The data. It's the You see a lot of cases where that information, if you ask a question, but you're very direct and you say, give me an argument for X, it's going to give you exactly what you're looking for. But um, as a conversational partner, you can say, hey, these are my, like, these are all of my thoughts. This is what is happening as far as my business structure, or maybe a project where you're working on. How do I, like, what am I missing? So you're allowing it to help kind of bump that creativity versus you saying, this is what I'm asking for.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Maria. Rick?
And I was just going to say, just to go with Mireya's example of starting with a document and having AI assist you. I just did that this morning, as a matter of fact. I had a policy that I wanted to update, so I basically loaded that policy into my AI, and I asked it for improvements based on industry best practices. And so it gave me a list of gaps that I needed to review. Now, it gave me the context for those and it gave me the text to use, but I was using my expertise to figure out, well, what's best to put into the document. So that's kind of where it would probably have taken me another hour or so to do the research to find out what's the best practices. It basically facilitated that for me in about 3 minutes. So for me, that's a real big lift and support for what I do.
Absolutely. I always say it helps you. Some people business leaders like to say it's 70% of the way. Not exactly. I think it would be 70% of the way is without your actual expertise right behind it. But
Mhm.
30%, if you're able to, you are the expert in your field. You know what you're asking for. You know what you're trying to build. And based off of that, you can feed that into it, and of course train it throughout the way that it helps you get 30% there, and then from there the creative juices started coming, and that your expertise helps to fill all that in.
Yeah, absolutely. I have one question for you. You kind of alluded to the fact that sometimes AI will kind of drift off and give you the answers that it expects you to want, right? That,
Right.
for me, hallucinations 2 years ago were probably pretty prevalent. Hallucinations are just an example of AI making up answers for you. What is your opinion of how the models are getting better so that hallucinations are less and less impacting your output?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. One of the things I want to mention is just make sure, like, whatever, coming back to the up document that you uploaded, make sure you're not doing that, like, or if you are uploading documents on the free version, be very, the AI is using that to learn. So if you are using it as a business, I would recommend using that team or the paid version for any of the AI tools that you're using. But coming back to hallucinations, I do feel that they are improving. So as the newest model that came out, they are being reduced. However, it also will deviate. So it depends on the information that you're feeding it. One of my recommendations is always just to start a new chat. If you start to see discrepancies where
Mm.
it's starting to maybe it's not I found this yesterday where I fed it a lot of information and we're on a topic, and then and I say we because I'm talking to AI, and my conversational partner. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what did I mention earlier? And then we come back and I'm like, oh, you forgot this part. If I notice that it's starting to, it might not be hallucinating, but it's starting to omit information, I start a new chat and then I make sure to like clean it up. And that has, so one, hallucinations have decreased, but two, I feel like as users, we're starting to see less of them because we are more equipped. We've been trained on how to work with AI. Day by day, we do improve our skills and we stop doing that repetitive work.
So great.
Great. Thank you so much. Curt, you're up next. Tell us about using AI to elevate innovation in businesses.
Yeah, so happy to be here. Thanks for the invite. And since Mireya really laid a lot of the groundwork, I'm going to jump into what I call creative-centered AI. And what I mean by that is there's been a lot of talk about human-centered AI, but being a creative myself for 30 years, I'm most concerned and somewhat conflicted about myself using these tools. But that human intervention, that creative intervention is really crucial, no matter what the results you get from whatever platform you're using for AI. So my process is that you need to start with intent and not tools. What is the outcome that you want? So you're not just playing around, wasting a lot of time, because you will get bucket loads of information, right? So don't begin by picking the best tool, but what is the business or the creative challenge? And that means you know the outcome that you want, and you're driving the conversation with your AI. I call them they or them, with them, and to get the best result. And the great thing about generative AI, which was what happened 2.5 years ago next month, or actually, 3 years ago next month. What am I saying? Generative AI, machine learning's been around forever, but generative AI, where it actually generates a response, generates an image, now generates a video, and even more recently can generate code. So these are incredible technologies, but what you do with them, how you interact with them, and how literate you become with them is a big qualifier for staying in the employment force, as many companies are laying off people who haven't embraced AI. And that's the urgency of what we're talking about here. But back to creative-centered AI. So yes, you can ask a simple prompt around a marketing campaign, a persona development, and a social media campaign. And what you want to be able to do is iterate, right? So it can amplify the ideas that you may initially have, and it may spark something that you hadn't thought about before, and you can drill down on that. But it's that back and forth that really helps you refine what could be a marketing campaign. And in that process, I would also, to avoid hallucinations, I would cross-check with other platforms, not just challenge the AI, challenge them, but I'd take the same prompt into Perplexity, start in ChatGPT, then go to Perplexity or Gemini, ask the same questions, see what responses you get, how are they different, how are they better? Are the links the same? Are they valid links? Did you click on the link and check the source? And also ask for sources. If you don't ask for sources, at least in ChatGPT, it may not give them to you, where Perplexity is a fantastic research engine, and it will give you multiple sources. So again, sourcing thoughts, ideas, information, I think is very important in informing whatever you're doing, whether you're writing a blog, creating a campaign. It's very important to get in that feedback loop and provide iteration. At the same time, Mireya, you mentioned this, is like, be careful of what you're entering, because AI literacy also includes your knowledge of guardrails and ethical layers that are happening, that need to happen with your use of AI. Right now, there's very little guardrails, and it's up to us, the people who are using it and the companies that are using it, to not only create AI policies, but actually use it in an ethical way, make sure that you are protected and your clients are protected in what you are uploading to ChatGPT. So, for instance, in my process, I have a GPT of my own I developed on ChatGPT. I have a whole methodology of branding. And so I entered that information into a safe environment with my own GPT. I don't share it. It's my own little world. And I can create a brand in there and all the communication, the vision, mission, position. And then the outcome is fantastic. It saves me a lot of time and really gets down to some very nuts and bolts, creative executions. I shouldn't say execution, but creative background to actually then I could creatively execute those ideas. The other thing about this data that's coming forth, it's a lot of words, right? Text. And by the way, my clients also use the same technology. So you're kind of in competition with your client in terms of, hey, who's going to come up with the better or the best AI outcome, in terms of, hey, create a marketing campaign for my widget, right? But ChatGPT, Gemini, they will generate 100 pages of background on persona development, market analysis, competitive analysis. And I do that normally in my own practice. But I go through that as a creative and synthesize that and boil that down in a way that's not only digestible, but is actually creative. And then the implementation of that, of those insights from that data find is, to me, the magic, the magic, because that's where the creative comes in, and hence creative-centered AI. So know that your client might be as equally savvy as you in using these platforms. And so what makes me different is that, but I'm the creative. I've sat in front of my clients and they say, we use Gemini. We have all this information. And I ask, well, why am I in the room then? And they say, well, because we don't know how to execute, and actually create the campaign. That's why you're here. It's like, okay, good. So that justifies that creative-centered AI approach to using this. And I can't stress the urgency in employees and employers learning and embracing and upskilling their teams with this, because the layoffs are happening now. If you didn't hear, but Accenture recently laid off 11,000 employees as part of a strategy to upskill. And they made it clear that AI competency is now a hiring and a retention criterion. And this is happening globally. And so, there's been a lot of talk about getting replaced. It's like, well, no, now you're getting fired and you won't get hired unless you have these skills. So it's timely, and I'm glad we're having these types of discussions, because people need to know the urgency and what they need to do to embrace and adopt and become AI literate.
Well, and I think one of just where you come up with the creativity part is that prices are becoming more competitive, our costs. So we can't charge what we used to charge. So even as a custom software development company, something that would cost 100,000 now cost 60,000, right? But also you need that expert to be able to think through the whole process. And coming back to your, why am I here? Well, because you are the expert, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's the danger. I work with agencies and advising them how to handle this new era of creativity. There's certain agencies that go out with an AI first message like, hey, we are an AI marketing agency. And to me, that's the wrong thing to say. It's the wrong thing to lead with, because what that is a race to the bottom, because the client will say, and they've said it to me and other clients, they say, oh, you're using that AI stuff. Oh, you must do it for cheap now. So why are you charging me so much money? And that's not a conversation you want to have, right? What you want to do is always provide the value. You can be transparent in saying you you use AI strategically or for research, and we've economized a lot of that workflow for data entry and all that. But that creative aspect still is worth something. It has value, and the only person that's going to give it value is you, because your client has a downward pressure of the economic situation and they want to get it for the best price possible. But you need to go in there and provide the value where they can achieve their goals, their KPIs, and succeed in their marketing campaign and selling their stuff, right? So it's a very interesting dynamic that's happening, and but it doesn't mean you need to decrease your prices specifically, but be aware that your client will have that expectation. But again, you always have to prove your value and show your process. And again, creative centered AI it has a value, and it's different than like outputting white paper of 100 pages of just gobbledygook that no one's gone through it and try to make sense of it, right? As a communicator, as a brander and a marketer, that's my job, is to like get all that data, make sense of it, and boil it down to one page, right? That's actionable and that you can execute on in terms of a creative campaign, a branding campaign. So that's the world we're living in, and it's exciting. And the amount of creativity that I've been able to create, and things that were impasses to me before, based on automation. It's amazing how productive I can be as a solopreneur and help my clients and help myself. I'm a podcaster, and so I use it in the process. And it's like, I just wouldn't have been able to do it because it was an impasse. And now all those walls have been broken down and I can freely create.
That's awesome. Curt, one of the things that really stuck out to me was you said that you know the outcome that you want, that you are the driver. And that kind of answers some of the fears that AI is replacing us, is not.
No.
You are the driver of that. And if you take the driver's seat, then you're gonna be doing okay. And then the other point that you made is that we really need to have some guardrails on there. That I think is very, very important. How would a smaller organization adopt AI responsibly without large budgets or tech teams?
Well, one, take one of my workshops. Two, create an AI policy. You can hire me to do that as well. But there's an AI policy that needs to be created for internal employees, and that has to do with what platforms are the best to use, which are ethical already, and use those. Don't use unethical ones like Grok and Llama, who have done some horrible things. And so it's a guideline for your employees. In terms of your clients, they need to know if and how you are using AI, because they're giving you data information. And so you have to be clear in terms of how you're using it. Is it protected in terms of how you're uploading into your own system? I highly recommend creating your personal GPTs so that it is protected and not on these free systems, as Mireya was talking about. So those are the two important steps. And so with that, I have a step-by-step process of, hey, take any task that you know really well. It may be creating a social media campaign, whatever task, and let's just break it down into 10 steps. You're the expert, you know this task, you know the outcome, right? You're just trying to streamline it. So then identify just 3 or 4 of those 10 steps where AI might be able to intervene and streamline those steps. So right there, you have saved 40% of your costs in producing the same outcome. Again, you are driving it, you know the outcome that you want, and you're just streamlining the process. And so that's a great way to start and share that with other employees and start doing this, experimenting on other tasks, but keep it in the actual workflow of what you're doing. You're not trying to do theory here. You're trying to streamline your workforce with the existing people that you have. So don't immediately fire people and say, hey, well, that means out of 10 people, I can get rid of 4 people. No, you've empowered your people to be 40% quicker and they can take on more and think about new opportunities for the business, right? New products, new ways to sell, new activations. So that's the way to look at it. It's a positive way, and it keeps all of your employees. I encourage the CEOs that I talk to is don't fire people, upskill people, because they're your brain trust. You still need that brain trust. It still needs to guide this software.
Absolutely. Rick or Mindy, do you have anything to add?
Well, I was going to ask the panel, if again, kind of leading into your questions you had about, well, how do companies get started? What tools would they start with? Would they start with ChatGPT? Would they start with Gemini? What would your recommendation be for someone who may have not ever interfaced with an AI platform? Where would they start?
I always recommend ChatGPT, and that's because that's my favorite. But I say it's like an assistant. Not my assistant's not perfect for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend starting with ChatGPT and playing with it for a week, and then hopping over to Gemini, doing that for a week. I have business other clients that love Gemini, that prefer Gemini. Others that, realtors are really good with Perplexity. There's a need. It really depends on your industry and what type of assistant you're looking for. My recommendation again would be starting with ChatGPT. It's the most popular at this moment, but explore other tools.
Great. Curt, what do you think?
I'd say the same thing. I always encourage cross-checking no matter what you're working on, and always be in a multi-mode mode. And again, I deal with a lot of the creative side, the image generation, the video generation. And so I have to work on all the platforms because, again, I know the outcome that I want because I am the arbiter of good taste. I'm a creative director. It makes me unique. So that, I know the outcome that I need. If I'm not getting it on one platform, I'll go to another. I work in Midjourney a lot. I work in Firefly. And then on the video side, oh my God, there's a burgeoning multitude of choices now. So there isn't one size fits all. It's like they're all there at your disposal. And what's happening now on the video side is there's these aggregators. And what they're doing, they're just aggregating all the platforms that are out there and creating one portal, one account. And then I have actually happened to use this free pick account, which was my stock image source. Mm-hmm. And I discovered, oh my God, they not only can they generate AI, they've coalesced all the video platforms, and I can just freely create with my original subscription with free pick all these other platforms. And that is amazing, cost effective. And get the outcome that you want. So again, depending on what your outcome is, that'll determine the platform. So yeah, that's how business can use AI out the gate because there's so many choices.
If you are starting with marketing, if you don't have a marketing budget, I would recommend Canva. Using Canva alongside with ChatGPT. They're very inexpensive versions, and subscriptions. They will allow you to essentially take that step forward, so that when the time does come, you will have that budget to be able to hire that work out.
Yeah, me personally, I'm anti-Canva because more creatives have lost more jobs to Canva than AI, honestly. And so I had a client recently was not getting what I was presenting, and she said, I'll just do it in Canva. It's like, well, that's really insulting, and the result that they did was kind of crappy. So it's just I have a love-hate relationship with Canva.
Yeah, it really just does depend, right? I mean, I build custom software, and so when somebody says, well, I don't need you, I'll just build this in ChatGPT or Claude, good luck is my answer, right? Because it's not going to give you everything you need. You are going to end up, and I always say, just call me when you break it.
Yes, they will be back.
You'll be back. But yes, but a lot of those, unfortunately, all business owners, this is my second startup. I didn't have the funds to be able to go and find, a marketing expert. So it is definitely a very good first step for those that just need the basic, and it's not gonna, you are definitely, you do need Curt for that expertise. But if you're not quite at that level, it is definitely a good start.
Very good.
Awesome.
I call him when you break it.
Oh, Mindy, do you have anything to add?
I was going to ask, for a business owner, then would you recommend hiring someone who knows AI, or would you recommend that they send their people off for training or to do a course through like Google or something like that? What would you recommend for a small business owner to take that first step?
I'll start. So there are a lot of free courses from the platforms, and I would start with free. Okay. Of course, they have an agenda, but it's important to get literate as quickly as possible with free. So I would encourage free, and then I would encourage workshops, live and in person versus online. I have found that that personal interaction, that coach that's right there saying, "Oh, do this," and it's highly effective. But at the end of the day, you want to not just hire necessarily an outside consultant, even though that's what I do. Out the gate, it's like try to get them a baseline ready to be able to interact with coaches or a new consultant inside the company. But there's a lot of free. Take advantage, and that work can start immediately because it's free. So I'd start with that.
Yeah, my recommendation is also my recommendation is just to hire someone with that knowledge that you need for that role. And that with, a good question to ask is, are you open? People say I'm open to learning new things, but are you open to, learning AI? Because that's a very important question. A lot of people, even when the iPhones came out, they refused. No, we are not using an iPhone. And so if you have that person that is willing to learn, I would say hire based off of knowledge and making sure that they're equipped to be able to do that job. And there are a lot of free resources out there. Even companies like mine, we do free webinars, and we do, basics on AI. Next one is next level AI. So you start little, you go, and those are free. And you can, the Hispano Chamber and other chambers throughout the state and the nation, right? They offer these type of resources where they do lunch and learns. And it's just really asking the right questions, and those resources are out there. And perhaps even asking on another company that, another business owner, right? That, hey, where did you go and get this training? It might start free. And then when you're at that level where you're able to integrate it as a company, then begin to hire out.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, I know that a year ago when I was looking at skills that were needed, AI wasn't even on there. And now looking at jobs, AI is on every single job that's there. So I think that's very important for people to upskill and to upskill their employees. So you made some great points. We had a great conversation today. This second episode of the BBB Business Shield series explored how AI is being used in business, from understanding what it is, what it isn't, to tackling challenges. We also heard about how creativity and strategy can guide AI integration, helping organizations streamline their workflows without losing human touch. AI isn't just a trend, it's a tool for building smarter, more authentic, future-ready businesses. A huge thank you to our panelists, Mireya Herrera and Curt Doty, for sharing their insights and experiences with us today. Your perspectives on AI, creativity, and responsible innovation gave us a lot to think about. I'd also like to thank Mindy and Rick for their help in bringing this podcast to life, and to express our gratitude to the entire team at the Better Business Bureau serving New Mexico and Southwest Colorado for their continued support in making this series possible. And thank you to our listeners for joining us. Don't forget to join us in person for the Essential Security Summit on October 16th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Better Business Bureau in Albuquerque. This half-day event brings together experts who will break down the essential cybersecurity and physical security practices that every business should have in place. Plus, you'll hear from a leading expert in human trafficking prevention, sharing insights on how awareness and proactive measures can help protect your organization and community. You'll leave with actionable steps to safeguard your operations, employees, and customers. There's less than 30 spots left, so reserve yours today and stay ahead of the threat. Plus, all attendees will receive a discount for an AI microlearning course from NMSU, and 2 lucky participants will win a free course. So register at nmsu.nmsu.edu and search BBB. And then in November, join us for the Deception Files podcast, where we will delve into scams and fraud. I'm Erika Genty, and thanks for listening to Talking Shop with AI.